Kat Deeley, for a few years, the reality host category at the Emmys looked like the same old, with not that many new, fresh faces. And then last year, there was a really big surprise when your name was included as one of the nominees. Tell us about that experience.
It was so exciting, I can't even tell you. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would end up being nominated for an Emmy. You know, I grew up in a very small town, 100 miles outside of London, and you know, my mum and dad aren't anybody famous. I never went to stage school. So for me to even be doing this job in the first place and doing a job that I really love, I consider myself so lucky. And then to have this happen as well was just a bit bonkers. It was completely mad. I mean, I knew that, you know, obviously I was being considered. They put me forward to be considered, and but I just never thought anything was going to happen. And then they call you at like 5:30 in the morning or something obscene. And I remember just my phone ringing in my house and going, and sitting up like that and going, where am I, type of thing. And then I went, well, would Emily, who's my PR girl, would Emily call me if I hadn't at 5:30 anyway? So I stumble over to the phone and I pick it up. She's like, ah, I'm screaming. And then I scream. And then I got a couple of waifs and strays staying in my house as well, because my house is like the house that everybody stops in. It's like a halfway house along the way. I have all these waifs and strays and littlest hobos and all those kind of things. So then they all got up and started screaming. And then I had a live show that day for So You Think You Can Dance as well. And I style myself on the show. So I'm like trying to I'm like doing phone calls with people. I'm trying to throw stuff into a bag at the same time, shoes and frocks and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm doing I'm jumping in the shower in between. And then I'm doing a live interview with Ryan Seacrest, and I'm literally stood in my bra and knickers with soaking wet hair, chatting to Ryan Seacrest live on the radio, throwing stuff into a bag, and it was so exciting, and so truly my cup brimmeth over that day. And so then I rang my mum, because back in England, obviously they're 8 hours in front, so it was perfectly acceptable to ring her at that time in the morning. And I went, Mama, you're never going to believe it. I've been nominated for an Emmy. You're never going to believe it. And she turns around and goes, well, that won't do you any harm, will it? That was the level of excitement. So it was a good day.
Well, tell us about going to the actual Emmy ceremony, and what's it going to take for somebody to finally beat Jeff Probst? That's what we want to know.
I think it's going to take Ryan Seacrest and I'm going to create some kind of disturbance. I don't know quite how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to think about it. I'm going to create some kind of disturbance. He's going to stick his leg out as Jeff goes up to the podium to accept the award. And then it's literally every man for himself. I'm going to tuck my dress into my knickers, take my shoes off, and just run for that podium.
Good.
Which, by the way, isn't that far off what people have to do? Because the reality host award was in the artistic Emmys, the creative arts Emmys. This year, the past years it's been in the main show, but this year it was there. And that's literally what people were having to do, because I think there's something like 68 awards or something completely mental, and people have just 60 seconds to get up to the podium and to like do an acceptance speech at the same time. Otherwise, they just fade down your microphone.
Yeah. Well,
so it was good practice.
We spoke to Phil Kogan last year, one of your other competitors, and he was of the same view as you. It was just like something needs to be done about Jeff Probst, and he also mentioned he was really impressed that you and he, both not from America, have very prominent roles in very big reality shows on network TV. What do you think about that, having that kind of opportunity to work in such a high-profile show on US television?
You know what? It's amazing. I mean, we're currently going into our 9th season. I remember coming over here and I was kind of full of excitement, and I saw it as a real adventure, and I had no trepidation at all. I just really wanted a new experience, and I wanted to very much kind of embrace that. And And to be going into our 9th season is just phenomenal, you know. I mean, you always hope that something's going to be successful and you always hope it's going to work, but you never know. And there was a part of me that was literally like, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be the big bad English scapegoat who's going to be shipped off home. But again, you know, we've gone on to you know, to be so successful, and that's down to the people that watch the show and that continue to be passionate about it, and also the dancers who have incredible talent too. And I think the one great thing that I had in my favour was we were always the little train that could. Do you know what I mean? Like we were put on as a summer show, and we were very much left to our own devices, and no one told me to say anything differently or to use a different accent or how I should dress or how I should deliver. Like nobody really told me how to do that, and I think it was partly because we were just on air and they just let us do our thing. You know, it wasn't as though there was this huge spotlight that was placed on me straight away. And I think what that enabled definitely me to do, and I think also the producers of the show, was to grow the show very naturally and to find out what worked and what worked for us more through trial and error rather than our hands being forced with certain things. I know that some of the execs at Fox just think I'm completely bonkers. They don't know quite what to make of me sometimes, particularly in the outfits that I go out in. And then I am a little bit weird, you know, like I put people's grills in my mouth and I'll do stupid stuff. And I was being interviewed yesterday about the show. We were doing a press photo shoot, and they said, "So what's different for season 9?" I went, "Well, this season," I said, "it's all about Hunger Games meets So You Think You Can Dance," and people just dance to the death, and they literally dance off their feet until they're left with bleeding stubs, and then the blood just oozes out of them, and it's and I can see the PR girl going, "What?" And I'm literally like, and our motto is, "May the moves be in your favour." So I think that's going to add another layer of jeopardy and drama to the show.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Well, what coming from England and all, what are reality shows like there compared to American reality shows?
You know what? I think they're very, very similar. I think that it's got to a point now where we're much more of a global community than we were before. I don't think there is that much to differentiate between continents and countries as much as they used to be, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like that. You know, we watch the same movies, we read the same books, we even drink the same coffee. You know, it's one of those things where there isn't that much difference, because in actual fact, with each reality show, wherever it's sold, you have a Bible, and you know, you have to make the show as it would be. So there's very little difference. I mean, the big thing for our show, for So You Think You Can Dance, is just the talent pool is so much bigger. But that's purely down to population.
I think it's fair to say that for So You Think You Can Dance, the two main positives about it is it doesn't really manipulate or embarrass its contestants. It's really about the talent. And the other thing that I find striking about it is the judges, especially obviously Nigel. Everyone's always on the edge of their seat to hear what he's going to say. And people are always excited to hear Mary because generally she's over the top and crazy and hilarious. What do you think that's fair to say? What's your take on the show?
Yeah, I mean, I think that very much our show is about celebrating talent and celebrating hard work. And to me, what I love so much about the show is it feels very much as though the American dream is alive and kicking, in a way where you can be any race, religion, colour, creed, come from any background. If you have a talent and you're prepared to work hard and you're passionate about it, you can be anything that you want to be. And that's how I feel about our show. Is it's about celebrating people's talent and seeing their trials and tribulations and successes and failures and all those things that the audience can identify with, and you know, because at some point in all our lives we felt that, you know, in some way, shape or form. And I think that's what makes the show a success, actually, because it can't be that the millions of people watching or voting for the show are all obsessed with dancing. It just can't be so. I think what people do get passionate about is the human element of the show. I think that they want to hear about people's stories, and sometimes when they try something and perhaps it doesn't work, or they pick themselves up and dust themselves off, or they try something and it is successful. I think that's something that anybody sitting at home can identify with, and I think that's what makes the show a success. It's that human element. It's the human element that people want to connect with, and dance is the narrative that runs through the show and links it all together.
Well, we wish you all the best with this next season coming up this summer. And listen, don't be all jaded this time when you get your second Emmy nomination.
I definitely won't be jaded. I might have some champagne on ice though, just in case this time.
That's a good idea.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.